I got my little mic. Hi. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing?
I don't know about
We're
them, but I'm doing good.
I know I'm doing good too. So we're here. We're back for another show.
Yep, yep.
And I'm at the office tonight, you guys. So this is my
That's
first
not.
time. I'm kind of excited because we finally get in it like in place and stuff. So I've worked a lot today. So my voice is kind of going, but I'm excited about the show and the topic. And I think the audience is going to be excited about this too, because one, it comes from my favorite, is it my favorite artist, uh, inspired, well, not, yeah, inspired the title, but I think it was a conversation you and I had um, after our last show.
Yes, ma'am.
And we were convening, and he was like, I think you should do something on unique, or we should do something on unique. And I'm like, unique. That's what you are. So
Yes.
so we really want to have this conversation about unique, but this time, Danielle, I think I want to take a synergy kind of coach approach to this and
Ooh.
really back it with some therapeutic information or therapy information, because you know, we talk about the importance of stepping in our uniqueness, and we talk about the importance of being ourselves, but I really want to have a conversation about why we can't. But before we do that, introductions. I'm Sheila Little, uh, the CEO and president of Shaping Solutions Leadership Training and Development, Inc. And what we do here is we provide, oh, we help people shape solutions. So we provide a little consulting with individuals' problems in their personal or business life. We do a little coaching to help with the mindset of an individual to help them really get clear, get their skills and mindset together to solve those problems. And then we use some therapeutic techniques to really help them heal some areas that they may not know is holding them back. And as a consequence of that, I think we've been able to really help some individuals. I have a background in therapy for about 20 years, and I am a PhD candidate
Ooh,
in
ooh.
business psychology. So that is me. But my co-host though is Miss Danielle. So introduce yourself.
Hey, hey, I'm Danielle MacArthur, owner DCDR Solutions, small business entrepreneurship coaching. I specialize in working with people who, when they're first making that transition from hustle to actual business, making sure they're getting all the right things in place, taking the right steps, thinking about taking into consideration expansion planning, as I like to call it, or other people call it scaling, and how to go from here to really turn it into something big that will last and sustain. That's what
Yes, yes.
and mine is based off of continuous improvement techniques, a lot of root cause, because every business is riddled with problems, small
Yes.
and big. So teaching people how to solve those problems, approach those problems, some mindset pieces in there, because like Sheila said, there are sometimes some mental challenges or apprehensions, a little fear, things of that nature. So just coaching people and helping people get past that, so they can keep moving. That's what I
Absolutely.
do.
And I love this though, because one, your ideal client is a novice business owner. So they're
Mhm.
just starting the business. And what you're doing is you're being very proactive with these entrepreneurs and helping them to be able to make sure that they have a line of sight. So they're like starting in the beginning with the end in mind and really seeing where their product can go, how their product can do before they actually step in and just, step in.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, Sheila. And you froze on me. I don't know if that's just me or it'll kick in.
Yeah, she
Am
froze
I
a little bit.
back?
Okay, there
You're
we
back
go.
now. There we go.
Oh, okay, okay. I must have said something powerful.
you,
Um,
you blew up your
I
whole.
said you help people in the beginning, starting in the beginning with the end in mind, and I think that that is, very much important. Um, yeah. So we did our introduction, so we're gonna go into our mindful moment before we start this conversation, right? And so our mindful moment is just really about getting present. It's 8:30 EST time, 7:30 your time. We've had a whole day of just situations, and I really want to bring people together, just the mindful breath, just to kind of center ourselves so we can be receptive to the information that is coming to us, through us, and for us. So I took a deep breath and then just breathe it out. Yeah, that felt good. That felt good. All right. So today's show. Oh no, quote of the day.
Quote of the day.
The quote of the day is definitely inspired by our topic. Our quote of the day is: in order to be irreplaceable, one must also be always be different. And um, and I think that I chose this quote because I think we all want to be irreplaceable, but we find ourselves definitely in situations where people feel like you are, what is that word? Replaceable, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you really don't understand my value. And I think this happens because we don't step into our uniqueness,
Yes.
because there is definitely something about each and every one of us that makes us different than the rest of the whole world. And the only way we can be irreplaceable is if we find that thing, hone into that thing, and sit in that thing that makes you different. So when you say I'm irreplaceable, you mean it with every fiber in every cell in your body, that no, I am definitely unique and you will never find another person like me. And I think we all desire to get to that space, but I don't think we always do the work required to get there. So, and why don't we do the work, Miss Danielle? Can you kind of,
Sometimes I think a lot of it is fear. I know we've dabbled in that, but fear had manifests in a bunch of different ways. It's just a lot of different ways. A little fear, a little anxiety, not quite sure, but that's my two pennies.
yeah, yeah. And I think I think that we don't step into the thing that make us different is because we wrestle with shame. And I want to talk about shame before we actually go into our topic of the day. So our topic of the day is unique. That's what we are. That's what you are. That's the song Beyonce, right? But before we talk about that or go into that acronym of unique, I want to talk about this shame and guilt because I think we get these two things kind of, we interchange them, and we use one and don't really understand what it is. And I want to really help our audience to see the difference. So one, shame is innate, right? So it's actually given to you. So it's in your what's called your reptilian brain, right? So you know how things are passed down to you, like the gene for diabetes, or eye
Genetically
color. Yeah,
predisposed.
yes. So shame is that. Okay, shame is genetically predisposed. So it gets passed down to us. It's actually in our, like I said, our reptilian brain. And what happens is we go through a situation in life that activates our shame, that
Mm,
activates this feeling. And most of the time this situation happens in our younger years, sometime before 6, and I'm going to challenge it before 10, right?
mm.
So somebody does something, says something to activate this emotion of shame, right? And it's interesting because shame, and I wrote it down, shame is truly how we see ourselves, right? It's about our sense of self, right? And so when we feel shame, it's this feeling of like, there's something wrong with me, right? I'm not good enough, right? I'm not important enough. And it really makes people want to disappear or not even exist. So a person who's struggling with shame would have a very challenging journey trying to step into their uniqueness, right? Because they already have a judgment about who they are anyway,
Mm.
right? And because they have a judgment about who they are, they're trying to be more like you want them to be because
Uh-huh.
this person is probably seeking for approval. So
Kind
people
of
who
duty
struggle,
phase.
yes, like the duty phase that we talked about last week, right? So this person really struggles with stepping into their uniqueness. Now, shame is very different than guilt. Guilt, on the other hand, is a learned behavior, right? So you got trained on a certain set of values, right? Do this, believe in that. And what you did was you broke a value that you learned, okay? And somebody said that's bad, or you know that that's bad because that's how you wasn't taught that. So you see how shame is internalized, is activated from, from how we live. Is similar to if I have a gene for high blood pressure, if I eat enough sugar, then it'll activate that in me, right? That level of diabetes. Where guilt is externally motivated. It's a value that's given to me from my environment, and then I end up doing something that went against it. So now I feel bad. So it's the difference between like feeling bad as guilty and feeling not enough
Ooh,
in
okay.
shame. Okay. So I wanted to say that because this unique, that's what you are, is a conversation to help you, one, get out of shame, right? And then two, really encourage you to start the journey of being you. And that's why I did the quote, right? The being you. If you want to be irreplaceable, then you need to be different. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about and that I want us to talk about is the you, understanding the benefits. So at first I was going to put understanding the challenges that come with being unique. And then something kind of came up in my spirit, like, no, we want to focus on the benefits because I think that we already know the challenges that come with being different, the judgments, the ridicule, the all of that, right?
All of
So I
that.
think we already know that, right? So did you
Mhm.
have any challenges in coming up in being unique or being different?
All the time. What?
Right. And what I
I'll
want our
try to
audience,
keep it brief. But
yeah.
I
And
mean, yeah, definitely for me. I know I said it before, but going to a high school that was very focused on like sports and not being a sports person, but being more academically inclined, that automatically made me put me outside the box. And
yeah,
so it's like I had to find people that were also outside of the box
yeah,
that made me feel not as alone. It was a very small group of people, but among other things, that I think that would be like the key one, especially when we're talking about that kind of younger time frame of
yeah,
when you're growing up. But
yeah,
that was the biggest one for me.
yeah. So I really want to talk about and thank you for sharing that because I think that we all have some challenges. But I don't think we talk about the benefits enough. And here's the thing, there is truly a benefit in your uniqueness. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm talking about a universal alignment and a universal truth for this life that you feel like you desire and deserve. It's like trying to find your address or your home, but you on another street. You trying to find this place that you live, this comfortable place, this place of serenity, this place of comfortableness, right? But you on a different street, you in a different zip code because you're not being you. So one of the benefits of being unique is home. It's like you feel
Yep.
like comfortable in the skin you in, right? And listen, we talked about the three little pigs,
Hmm.
right? And the third little pig who built his house of brick, right? And how every pig ran to there after the big bad wolf came. And we talked about how the big bad wolf was life.
Hmm.
And when you are in your uniqueness, it's kind of like finding the eye of the storm, right? It's the
Nice
most
and
comfortable
calm.
place to be. Even when life is happening, you have a discerningness about you because you're in your space. You're in your lane, for lack of a better words.
Hmm.
And and when we don't do that, I think we get shuffled around. Like
Yep.
when you're not in your uniqueness and your fingerprint, DNA, in that space that was created specifically for you, I think then you feel like you're being shuffled around in life, right? Which is very uncomfortable. Like you're living to other people's requests, you're doing things that other people want you to do, and you're absolutely in that duty phase. right? So, one, just this feeling of home. Two, you start to attract the life you desire. And why do you start? And I want to have this conversation. It's an adult conversation. And I don't want to talk about manifesting from this burning sage, which is not, I don't have any, problems with people who burn sage or anything like that. But it's really truly like when you step into your uniqueness, life starts to happen for you in a very unique way, right?
Yes, it
That
does.
can only happen for you, that is only for you. It's like miracles start to unfold. And I'm using that word loosely, but when you really stop caring about the outside world and you start paying attention to the inside world and you start to align, then life starts to match your internal alignment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so that is a
I'm a living
great
witness.
that is a great benefit to being unique. So understanding, one, it's your place of home, right? And there's no place like home, right? Two, that life, when you start to align on the inside, then life will start to align for you on the outside. All right. And three, your blood pressure go down. Your health get better.
Amen.
It just becomes a healthier way of living, right? Because you're unapologetic about who you are and what you are. And then there's just a discernment that comes with that. And I think that when you know what you want, you become less indecisive. You become less you care less about other people, what other people think, right? And all of those things naturally have a health benefit for you as the individual. What do you think? What do you think some
I,
benefits are in understanding or being unique?
when you settle into it, I feel like you can handle life better, for lack of a better
Absolutely.
say. Like you said, it's just like the three little pig scenario. When you find yourself and you're comfortable in yourself, you're in that brick house. You
Yes.
can withstand a storm, you can withstand, snow, you can withstand what's thrown at you better. I think that's one of the best benefits because you. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, okay. You stay away from situations that aren't for you because you know you. So you're
Right.
not going to put yourself in places. And like you said, it's just an overall mental health because as you continually put yourself in places where you don't need to be, it's a stressor.
Yeah.
And we all know
Yeah.
what stress does.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
causes anxiety. We know what
Yes.
anxiety does. It has all these negative health benefits. So it's
Yeah.
exactly what you said. When you start to take that away, you will be
Yeah,
better.
you will be better. And again, remember we had that conversation about shame earlier, and really just it's very hard for you to step into your uniqueness because you don't feel good enough. So you're constantly chasing, well, I need to do this, and then once I do that, then I'll be good enough for him. I'll be good enough to apply for that job. I'll be ready to start that business, right? But when you step into your uniqueness, you know you good enough, and you know that life is a learning process, and along the way, this is, I'm always going to be learning. So I can apply for that job now because I know who I am and I know I'm a learner. Or that's not the job for me because it doesn't, match my skill set. And so, I'm going to go back to the shame thing because I think when we struggle with shame, we struggle to understand the benefits of your uniqueness because the first thing, you just don't feel like you're enough. And let me remind you, you are enough. But if you struggle with it, then you can do two. And our second letter in this is our N. So understand the benefits. But if you struggle with shame and you can't really hear these benefits because you think they're kind of elusive, then you can do number two, um, which is write a note to yourself and others. Now here's here's where I get to be a therapist.
Break it down. Hit them with the why.
So listen, remember I told you we captured by shame. So what I want you to do is I want you to write out who hurt you, right? This is your note to self. The first thing I want you to list is all the people that hurt you. All right. So that's one note. And I want you to list this. And when I did this activity, you would just be amazed. Like my page was, because I suffered from shame, right? At one point in my life, I just didn't feel good enough. I was the person that was like, I'm gonna get another job, I'm gonna sit on another board, I'm gonna buy a bigger house, right? In hopes that I would
Hmm.
in some way feel like I was enough to for them and him and her and my parents and everything. But and at the time I didn't really know how captivating or how encompassing shame was, right? And how shame will always have you searching, right? So it's like, well, who hurt you, Shiela? You know? And I wrote this list. And when I tell you that list was a long list, it was like, it
Mm.
was small hurts, it was big hurts, it was the people who
Oh, okay.
bullied
You
me.
was encompassing all of the hurts.
Yes, it was the people who bullied me in school. It was my mama, my daddy, my brothers, my aunties, like every little hurt that I could think about, like I wrote that down. And here is why, because each one of those little hurts is a little pin inside of you. It's like a little
Hmm.
puncture, right? And when you go and you start to list, and so you feel the reason you feel like you're not enough because you got all these little holes in you, right? That are literally taking evaporating your energy out of you, right? So you don't never feel full. You actually have what's called oh, I'm gonna think of the word, but you're insatiable, right? So nothing ever
You're never
is
gonna be
good
full.
enough. It's
It's like
never
trying
gonna
to
be
fill up a
full.
strainer. It's not gonna happen.
Yes. Say that again.
It's just like trying to fill up a strainer or a colander, depending on what you know it as.
Yes, yes, I love that. Then we know what a strainer is. You put a rice in it, the water come out, right? It's like all this stuff you doing, but you got all these fractures on you. And that's why you don't feel enough because no matter what you do, it is something that is seeping, it's a hole in you that's seeping that stuff out of you. So when we start to list the people who hurt us, the person who said you weren't cute enough, the boyfriend who didn't call you back, when your
I'm
mama
about to
said
say,
this.
we get deep. This
Oh
is
yeah, oh yeah, you got to. Cause listen, this is a dope conversation, and we going for the inner work because we want to be unique because unique that is what you are, and the way
amen.
you get there is going to require you to do some things up front for yourself, right? So this list is for you. So you're gonna write down everything, and it's gonna be probably very triggering, but just write the names, write the names, write the names, and then I want you to get them back their energy, give it back to them, right? Like when you write it down, you may be triggered in a way where you angry again. And, oh yeah, that's why I don't talk to that B now. And yep, this is a good. But remember, that's another puncture. That's another hole because now you thinking about the thing you doing. And we don't want you to think about the thing you're doing. We just want you to list these names out. And I want you to give them back their energy,
Turn
right?
this strainer into a bowl.
Turn that strainer into a bowl so you can
Start
start
plugging them
catching
holes.
the life you deserve, right? And capturing it. And it ain't going nowhere. It's right here for you. And you gotta start learning how to capture yourself in the fullness of who you are, right? And if we given all our energy to these people, then it may be very challenging for you to capture who you are because somebody punctured a hole in you and it's escaping through that wound. Okay. Now, the second part about writing this list, if you can't let it go, that's when I encourage you to get a therapist. Like, oh my gosh, I just wrote this list and I realized like I got a lot of people that has taken from me and I need to talk about this, before I let it go. And I would encourage you to get you a therapist to really help you do some inner child work and so you can seal up those holes. Because here's the thing, our 30-day affirmation challenge ain't gonna help you. Listen to this podcast ain't gonna help you. Not bump out of shame. Now we can help you with guilt because that's a learned behavior, right? But because shame is an innate thing, it's something you got to do internally before you can really step into your uniqueness, right? So I want you to write down who hurt you, write them a note, a list, or whatever. But then the last thing I want you to do is write a note to yourself. So let's say write a note to self and others. And in this note to self, I want you to have some compassion. Really, I learned this from my old business partner. We only know what we know until we know something different. And you just learning that, oh, I'm struggling with shame.
Yes.
And I've been holding on to this for a long time. And I want you to let it go, but I want you to also write a letter to forgive yourself. It's okay.
That's
It's
deep.
okay that you've held on to this. It's okay that you've let this do this, whatever that is. And just write a letter to yourself and be your best friend. Say the stuff to you that you would want your best friend or that you would want your mama or somebody to say to you. But at this point, this is your work. So you got to do it for you, right? So we're going to call it a compassion letter. And that's your note to self, right? And remember, one, understand the benefits. But if you can't understand the benefits, you got to do two, right? You have to write a note to yourself in a very compassionate way and write down the people who hurt you and give them their energy back. Okay.
That's deep.
All right. Right. And then, if you're just dealing with guilt, you can always go click the link and get on our 30-day affirmation challenge. And after you do that, you actually can click the link and go on our 30-day affirmation challenge. But ain't an affirmation going to help you until you deal with this thing called shame and really start to step into your uniqueness. So let's go into our next one, independent. Now, me and you was just talking about the duty and fear,
Yeah.
and we had this conversation last week. And if you guys haven't watched the show from last week, I would encourage you to watch the show from last week because we talked about emotional intelligence and the four lenses that we see the world from. And the first two was fear and duty, right? And a lot of us who have shame really look at life through fear and duty. But why is being independent such an important I think you called it last week a part of the journey. Why is becoming independent such an important part of the journey to uniqueness? Why do you think that?
I think that's when you really understand your strengths and your power. I think that's when it finally clicks. Because like you said, it's that transition where it's almost like when you put the cape on and it's like, okay, I got this, before
Yeah.
you realize, maybe I do need somebody else. But it's your donning of the cape. It's like, okay,
Yes.
take off, Superman. I'm about to save the world.
Yes, yes. So, absolutely. So, it's just like a child, right? A child got to learn how to walk by themselves, right? Like um, you cannot hold a child's hand the whole time and feel like they're going to learn how to balance themselves. You cannot hold the back of the bike and hope that the child is going to learn how to ride the bike independently. And because we didn't get that when we were younger, right, from our family, we probably didn't go through an independent stage because we had shame and probably our family had shame. Then as adults, we have to be willing to become independent. Now, because you want to absolutely know where you need the help at, when you need that help to come, and from who you want that help to come from. And if you're not independent, you don't have you in survival mode. So it's like anybody who willing to help me. I've seen so many people who come to me, Miss Danielle, relationships, and they done moved in together. And I'm like, well, why did y'all move in together so early? And one person is like, well, because I ain't really have no place to stay. So, and she offered, her house, right? And it's like, so this relationship is based on codependency, right? Now you needed a place to stay, and as a consequence of needing a place to stay, you guys developed a relationship, you know. And these things are now you don't want the relationship, but you're scared you're gonna get kicked out the house.
Because you need the
So so now you feel stuck in this relationship. And
house.
so, yeah, so a part of this independence stage is, you know what, if I'm dating you, I probably don't need to be living with you. We only known each other 2-3 weeks now. Is there a bell curve, the 3% of people that can meet each other today, fall in love tomorrow and get married
I'm
and live happily
sure.
ever after? Absolutely. But the
Like
majority of us,
likelihood versus reality.
but the majority of us still have a lot of learning and growing to do emotionally, and that just may not happen. And so we want to go through this stage of independence. And remember, independence is the ego stage. I don't need you.
I
My
don't need,
cup is
I don't need
full.
nobody.
And these are
I'm
the
good.
people we tend to hate, or not hate, but rub us the wrong way.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they tend to rub us the wrong way because they come across a little cocky,
Little
like I
cocky.
don't, yeah. And
They
but they
don't
need
seem humble.
they seem humble, right? But they have to develop this, or we all have to develop that stage of who we are as we grow into becoming having interdependent relationships. So again, unique, that's what you are. To become unique, you have to become independent. Like how you gonna know who you are if you haven't separated yourself from the crowd and know what specifically is your gift, what specifically is your talent, what specifically is your ability, if you haven't separated yourself or cut the umbilical cord. So, a part of this journey to uniqueness is definitely why is the stage of independence so important to this? Because you need to separate yourself from your current environment, and I'm not saying even like physically, I'm not saying pack your stuff and leave, but there's definitely needs to be a level of responsibility for your life, for your circumstances, and for your conditions. And the biggest thing that you do as an independent person is take ownership for your life. So you're taking ownership for the things that's happening to you in your life. You're taking ownership for the responsibilities that's in your life. Like you're not blaming anybody for your current condition and circumstances. You know that you are where you are because
Because
of
of
you,
you.
right?
Because of
And if you
you.
want to get out that situation, then you know you're going to have to do something different.
That's the real adult part of the conversation that because I know we done said it, but that biggest part is when you realize you, like I said, it
Yeah.
goes back to that bell curve. I'm sure 1% of things are, completely evil out of the box, but there's a lot, so much self-created scenarios that people would like to avoid, and
Yes.
you can't do that if you want to
Yeah.
become, get those higher stages and reach that interdependence phase. You have to
Yes.
take ownership and accountability of yourself.
Of yourself and what you are and the things that's happened to you.
Mhm.
And this is how you know you're independent because you're like, oh, my bad, I did that. Or, yep, that happened to me, but I'm not a victim to
Yes.
those circumstances and conditions because I understand that I got the power to change it. Now, what do I need to do to change it? And again, I told you, people who typically go into this stage, these are the people who look for coaches, right? These are the people who reach out to me. These are the people who reach out to you. These are the people who really try to start their own businesses and really try to create some momentum and some change in their life. They're talking about legacy building. They're talking about forward movement. They're talking about letting stuff go right in their life. And it's very challenging if they're still holding on to shame, one, to make that adjustment and that shift. So I encourage people who are in this stage or looking to be in this stage to, contact somebody, get a mentor, get a coach, reach out to us at Shaping Solutions. You can reach out to Danielle.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, through this stage, you definitely need some guidance to be able to help. But really, we just take responsibility for who we are and what we are and what we're doing. I
Mhm.
did that. I sure did. My bad.
I did.
Right. So our next one. So we got you understanding that being unique is a gift, right? Some benefits to it, right? Writing a note to yourself about a compassion, like a really like I get you, like I understand why you came to where you came to, and then writing a list about the people who hurt you, and then being independent, taking responsibility for where you at in your life, right? Because until you take responsibility for the energy that and the emotions and the place that you at, you really it's gonna be difficult to move forward, right? So now we got the Q,
We got the Q.
quality.
Quality.
What is quality?
What is quality? Look, I used to be a QA manager. That's a very deep question for me. Don't get me started.
What tell me what quality is? Let's talk about quality in that sense because I think that'll be good. What
Yeah,
what?
quality is, in that sense, is maintaining the integrity and the expectations uh, equally and consistently.
Mm,
In the world of manufacturing, that's how,
hmm.
making sure that you're cranking out consistent product that meets expectations and standards.
Okay. I love
Was that
that, right? So you said the integrity one. We talked about integrity a couple of shows ago, right? Where
Yep.
integrity is how you built, like it's this inside of you, like the integrity of a big house. You can huff and puff and it ain't coming down, right? I came across this quote though, and I thought it was like very good for this. Always be a first rate version of yourself instead of a second rate version of somebody
Love that.
else,
That's
right?
nice.
So to me, this is what quality is, right? If you a first rate version of yourself, right? I'll take being a first rate version of me than a second rate version of somebody else anytime, any day, any place, anywhere, right? But what does that mean? That means that you have value. You bring value, and just back to our quote again, you bring value for just being the person that you are, your presence. It's just something about you that people want to hang on to, they want to be around, they want to be in conversation with, right? It's like, what you doing, where you at? Like, let me call Danielle, like, and see what she say about that, right? Because you and your jush and you and your uniqueness, right?
Mhm.
Now imagine a life like that where you know that you are quality. How different, and I'm asking my audience this, ask our audience this, how different would your life be if you knew that you were quality? Just ask yourself that question, like, how different would my life be if I knew the quality of who I was, right? If I knew that and I stood in that and I walked in that and I slept in that and I ate in that. Now here, it's gonna be difficult to get there if you're not there and if you're dealing with shame, but quality over quantity any day. So that was my second one. It's a
Favorite
lot
quote.
of yeah, quality over quantity any day. And if you don't know that quote, that just means that I'd rather have one of something that is good and plenty, right? That has an integrity than a lot of some old half baked stuff.
Yeah, be the premium. Don't be the wish version of anybody else.
you know,
that was my immediate thought. Don't be the
yeah,
wish version of
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
If anybody's
Now,
ever shopped on wish.com,
yeah.
that's they focus on quantity, not
Yeah,
quality.
not quality. Now, listen, Miss Danielle, I definitely want to have a grounded conversation because I feel like, when this song came out by Beyonce, unique, that's what you are, right? Alien
Hmm.
superstar. If you haven't heard it, I would encourage everybody to hear it. But it's definitely about this quality of measure, right? Like each individual, she's just talking about, I think, herself, but of course, we're all these.
But it's that's what it was. She's implying I'm that different that I'm not human, and it's not necessarily I'm better because I've heard a couple of like Lil Wayne says it as well. He calls himself an alien because it's like I'm so different, and
Mhm.
I acknowledge that I am so different that it's almost like I'm not from here. That's how I
Mhm.
interpret it.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing, and so let's take the alien out just for the skeptics out here, right? And let's just talk about you are different.
Hmm.
If your DNA makes you different than any other species in the world, right? Your 23rd chromosome makes you different. Your iris makes you different. Your fingerprint makes you different than any other species in the world.
Hmm.
So that's just the fact. That's just science, right? So we're not talking about alien and this whole outer space thing. We're just talking about for real, for real. Sheila is different than
Reality.
every other human being. Danielle is different than every other human being. You know, you are different than any other human being, and it is your responsibility to stand in that, to figure out what's making me so uncomfortable with my life right now. And it may be because you are not stepping into your uniqueness, your that space that was created is specifically for you. People know my license plate said a space between 0 and 1. Right. So it's 0 space 1. And everybody asks like, why did
Really?
your license plate say that? And that license plate is to me, space stands for a specific pattern that's authentically creating energy. At the time I made it, it was a spiritual pattern that is authentically create energy. That's what space stood for me. But I feel like that was my journey to find my space. What is my specific pattern that's authentically creating energy for me? So a part of that is when I create podcasts and I make up these acronyms. Like I get energy from that. Like it's my creative gift, and I can do it and do it forever, and I can make an acronym and it doesn't take from me. And when we find this unique space and this quality that is unique to you, it will start giving you that thing that you're looking for in other people. It will ignite the happiness in you, and you don't need nobody else to make you happy. It will ignite a self-love in you, and you ain't looking for other people now to love you or accept you. Now, I want to say it in a very real way. Is there love languages that you want to just hear you look good, or you want people to buy you stuff? Yes, that is just a personality trait, and I ain't talking about that. Like,
I was just about to say, I thought you was going like, no, you're not impervious to
yeah, yeah. No, I'm
these
not talking about that.
waves of emotions
Yes,
and feelings, like,
yes,
because we're
that's
still
right. We
human.
still have definitely things that go on in our life where we are human beings and we want to connect, and that's when we go to interdependent relationships. But there is a sense of peace about who you are and what you're doing. I guess that's what I want to say.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to the next one. So we got quality. We talked about quality. This is a good one right here. So the you. So again, we got understanding, note to self, becoming independent, understanding your quality and value that you have, and then this you. To be able to step into your uniqueness, you definitely have to unlock your potential. And what is potential, Miss Danielle?
Oh, ooh, I remember this one. Maybe the
So if you guys don't know, we had a show on unlock your potential. I think we had a show, that's one of our first shows.
yeah, I don't think that was
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
second
yeah,
one,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
read it, and I remember liking it because it was the I can be great. I can't remember how you worded it though.
Yeah,
So
so let's look
go
it up.
ahead.
Let's go to the dictionary.
Explain. 'Cause
Potential.
I remember you were saying in it, oh, she got great potential. Is the capacity to
Yeah.
become something.
Yes, yes.
It's not
Having or
that you're
showing the
quite
capacity to become or develop into something.
what
Right.
she said.
Right. So here's the thing about potential. And I would always tell this story. People used to be like, oh my God, you got so much potential. And I used to take it like a compliment. Like, oh, thank you so much. And then I realized that when somebody tell you got potential, it's actually what you're not using. Right. It's like you have all of this. I can see you being great. I don't see the greatness yet, but you definitely have the attributes to being great. It's like you got all the
You got
ingredients.
all the puzzle pieces, but it isn't
Yeah,
put
but you got to
together
put it
yet. Like,
together.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got all the
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holler at me
So
when that puzzle's done.
absolutely. So stepping into your uniqueness requires this. It requires you to put the pieces together in your life to kind of to tap into or unlock this greatness that is in you, right? And when I'm talking about greatness, I'm not talking about like the president greatness, because your greatness could just be beauty. I mean, I know for a long time as a tomboy, I stepped away from my beauty. Like I didn't wear heels. I didn't wear like I wore 32 jeans, and I wouldn't put on makeup, and I still don't wear lipstick, but it was like me not stepping into like the woman, or just kind of being scared to be
The
sexy or
divine
be,
feminine
yeah,
energy.
yes. And guess what? I'm glad you said that, because a lot of women need to unlock right there, right? In our
Okay.
female energy. I mean, a lot of us are so, and it's specific to women, a lot of us are so masculine in our presence. Not masculine like I look like a boy, but masculine in very much protective, very
Yeah.
much you know, we
Defensive.
defensive,
Yes.
very much questioning everything, not trusting, right? But as a feminine individual, we nurture,
Yes.
right? and we allow things to be planted in us like soil, right? And we nurture that in which we allow to get planted in us. So if you a female and you not allowing no seeds to get planted in you, not them type of seeds, right? Not that
Talk
type of
about
seeds.
knowledge seeds,
I'm talking
people
about
knowledge
knowledge seeds. I'm talking
seeds,
about
growth
relationship seed. I'm talking
seeds.
about people speaking into your life, right? If we're not allowing that to cultivate as females, then we're not totally stepping into our uniqueness, and we're wondering why in our relationships we're running into these mates that are more feminine, not feminine like gay, but not taking the lead as a man, not doing the things that you feel like he should do well because you're the masculine energy.
Yes.
And if you the masculine energy, then it's very difficult for a masculine individual to attract a masculine individual. So you're going to attract more of a codependent man or an insecure man or a man who really don't understand his strength and his masculinity because he's still developing, you
Yep.
know. And so now you're unhappy and you're mad, but a part of it is because you're not unique and balanced in your energies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think a key point to highlight is kind of determining that, because I think when you acquire that from a defensive standpoint or kind of like a survival mechanism, and as you slowly start to unlock, you may retain some of that. And I think
Mhm.
it's about where do you direct that, because after, and I'm speaking from personal experience, after having to be defensive for so long, it does become part of you. And then it's about, okay, well, who am I really? And if you land at, well, I'm still masculine in some aspects, and you accept that, but it's about that knowing that, and then you'll go into situations knowing I call it your balance. Where it's like, how are you balanced? Are you more feminine, or are you like more 50-50, or somewhere in between? So I think I wanted to make sure I called that out, because if you were in that place, you may not be there. Like for me, I'm not wearing heels. I think we talked about that before. I'm not putting no heels on. It's not for me. God bless everybody that wears heels. God love them, but that's not for me. So that's not part of my feminine, divine feminine energy and whatnot. And so I had to find my place in my feminine energy. And I think that's everybody, like you said, unlocking your potential and understanding where you're at in that. Uh oh, you hitting your computer with something crazy again. It's freezing again on me. All this powerful energy.
Yeah.
It's choppy for some reason. Somebody hacking your internet. It was perfectly fine. Up. Oh no. Where did she
She
go?
dropped off. Let's see if she can get her back on here.
Okay.
It seems like soon as she gets to something really, really good, and get the next
Oh,
one.
man, that's what I'm saying. Look, we over here talk about energy.
Yeah,
See? Look, that's the feds is watching.
yeah. And so I'm trying to get back in now.
The feds
Knock
watching. They
me.
don't,
Look,
they
I
don't
said,
like all this positivity and life changing talk, Sheila.
listen, I'm talking about. So I saw that one as okay. It's time for you shut off your own because this is a personal journey for me, and I'm glad you brought up the shoes and all of that because I think we have manifested feminine energy to look a certain way, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of feminine looking women that's very masculine in nature, right? You ain't gotta do nothing for me because I'm, you know, the boss or I'm an alpha female. So when I'm talking about feminine energy, I'm not talking about anything that has to do with the type of heel you wear or putting on a suit. So I'm glad that you brought it up because at first I thought that feminine energy has something to do with that.
Yeah.
And what I come to realize is that no, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with your it has everything to do with you and you being able to receive. So feminine energy has everything to do with you being able to receive compliments, for you to receive help, for you to receive guidance, for you to receive an individual statement and take it in and trust it. You know,
Right.
and so many of us we push that away, and it's like, I don't need your help. I don't need. Now again, we're talking about that independent stage.
Yep.
Now, know that the independent stage of life is different than this energy that I'm talking about. Right. And so we just have to find a balance. So one day we'll talk about that in the future, because we do have to unlock our potential, because most of our audience are females. I definitely want them to know that before we can be unique, we definitely have to be equitable in our energies. So we have to have a balance of masculine and feminine energy, and we have to know where to put that at. And we definitely have to be independent in this journey, go through this journey of independence. And we got to start talking about who hurt you, and not hold on to that hurt, but let it go. Right. And we have to understand that there are some benefits that come from you being unique. Okay. And then
Everybody's favorite
experience.
experience.
Now, when I say experience, Miss Danielle, what do you think about? So unique, that's what you are in this whole thing about finding or stepping into our uniqueness. When the word unique come up for you, I mean, when the word experience come up for you, what do you think about?
I think about kind of your personal experiences. It kind of reminds me of that list
Mm-hmm.
that you said. Instead of people that hurt you, it's almost like, what are the experiences that create this unique person? Because it's just like your DNA. And I'll do one science thing for you. So twins have I want to say exact same DNA. They have different fingerprints though. But
Mm-hmm.
what is different is it can be like different antibodies in them based on their experiences. So if
Mm-hmm.
one traveled to one country, or one got sick, or one, they will each have different things within them that will create a divide. I learned this from CSI. And I actually looked it up too. So their experiences will make them different from their identical twin. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I think of, is like these different life experiences define you, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like the twin thing because I didn't know that, right? And I like how you said that these two twins who have the same DNA, their antibodies, so the environment that they basically have exposed themselves to has done something chemically within them that has created some type of differentness in their makeup or
Yes,
in their body, right?
that can be detected. Yes.
Yes. So this is what uniqueness is about. And I wanted to end it with the experiences, because I think that when we look back over our life, right? So the first thing under experience is what, Jay? Jay?
Oh, look, you did have look. Then I was thinking about that right now to
Yes.
the list. See, I said,
Yes.
look.
So we want to create a list of your experiences and or what make you different. Okay. Um, because I think that a part of finding out our uniqueness, we haven't really looked at ourselves. We really haven't done an inventory of our personal experiences and what makes us different. One, because we probably have shame around that thing that makes us different. Probably have a judgment around it. But moreover, Miss Danielle, we pay attention to so much about everybody else.
Man, what?
You know, we're paying attention to what they did, when they did what they did, who they dated, who they date now, where they date them at, where they worked at, right? And now we don't need, now listen, that's a natural thing. Our curiosity is
Yes, you can
natural,
think about it,
right?
but to let it take your energy is a different phase. To
Yeah.
ask is the first phase, but to really dwell in it and then be worried about it and then concerned about it and then talking about it, that's when it goes too far.
Miss Danielle,
What's up?
you went somewhere.
I did, because I meet so many people. Look, it's my mama. Where it's just what does it matter? She's looking at me. What does it matter?
Oh, Miss
They
Danielle,
said this. Who cares?
you went somewhere
I
real quick.
did. Trigger.
Yeah, so here's the thing. We definitely want to, audience, you definitely want to know, create a list of your experiences. I mean, all your experiences from a little kid. What did you like to do?
Mm-hmm.
When I was little, I always said I wanted to be a doctor. I always thought it was going to be a doctor, like a physical doctor, but I ended up being a doctor of
No.
psychology.
Ooh.
But when I was younger, I always wanted to help people. Like that was something that was, and then what experiences showed me that I would get the insulin out for my grandmother. I would, set the stuff, all the little tools together for my granddad. Like I always ask questions, so I was always curious, right? So those type of experience, like that made me different because none of my family was really trying to do that. They was outside playing hopscotch and Connect Four
Sound like me.
and and curveball and I was definitely like, you know, in the house trying to learn some stuff. And that made me different. But that's the thing that I got in trouble for. You think you talk too much, you think you know
Man,
everything.
what?
So that's the second thing, right? When you take this list of this inventory, right, about what makes you different, think about the judgments that come up, because this is where my shame came from. This is why I was like very apologetic about my smartness, or me being inquisitive or wanting to ask a question. Like I had a lot of shame around that. Like, I'm sorry, but I got one more question, can I ask you? Or I'm sorry, can I just very apologetic. Like, can I say something? Like I felt like I'm being nosy, or just this judgment around
Yeah,
it.
because that's what we were taught.
Yeah, but a
I mean,
part of it was
ask
just
so
like,
many questions.
yeah, but the part of it was just, Sheila, that's just who you are. You just like to ask questions. You're curious. We call it nosy.
Mhm.
Um, but it makes me a great therapist, because I ask a lot of questions and I'm very much curious about what got you there and what made you do that and how you did that. So I want you guys to create a list of your experiences and create a list about what makes you different, right? Like you may be the fun one in the crew, right? You may be the quiet one in the group. Um, you may be the individual who like to cook. You may be the homebody of the crew, right? But make this list, because all I really want you to do is start to think about you in a different way. So
Yes.
making these lists is truly just in this category, it's just getting you to think about you and your uniqueness. Now, if this list can have 3 on it, this list can have 5 things on it, or this list can have 250 on it. I just want you to sit down and take some time with yourself, right? To list what are my experiences, and whether they're good or bad, or whether I feel like they're good or bad, and what are the things that make me different in my current group, or from my boyfriend, or from my siblings, or from my friends, or from my coworkers, Because when you start to do that, I guarantee you'll start to get a different look at you. The next question under that is, now, once you create this list of what makes you different, and you take a list of your experiences, I want you to choose one. It's going to come up in a minute, but I want you to choose one of those things that you want to strengthen in your life. I want you to choose one thing, one of those things that make you different, that is an experience, and I want you to choose it, and I want you to strengthen that thing, because when you start to strengthen that thing, it's like the thread. You ever pull a piece of thread and it starts to like unwrap the whole shirt?
Yeah.
Let's just choose one thing and go on a journey to start to strengthen it. Here, I'll do a free session with you. I'm sure Danielle will do some type of assessment with you. Um, Choose a thing that you want to strengthen and call us, and let's talk about it. Right? So you can inbox us at any of our platforms. Danielle is Danielle at DCDR.
DC. Yeah, DCDR Solutions or Danielle
Yeah,
MacArthur on Facebook. Find
yeah.
me.
I'm at I Am Shaping Solutions on all the social media handles, or at Elevating Life. Choose one thing out of this list that you want to strengthen, and let's have a conversation about it. Because remember, unique, that's what you are. And a part of us wanting to help you elevate in life, we didn't even talk about the show, right? A part of the reason why we want to help you elevate in life, right? In your love of self, in your interactions with others, and your focus and in your energy, is because we ultimately want you to step into your uniqueness, right? But that's a personal journey. Like when you become unique, right? Then you can receive these things in a greater and grander way. Would you agree?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
You appreciate them, and yes, you
Yeah.
respect where they're coming from. You truly have an appreciation for them when things start to happen because you know it's coming from a genuine place that you want them to come from. Because I think
Yes.
sometimes when they come from somewhere where either you don't want it, then it's not the same. But when you know this is what you want and then it comes, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I know that this is, I don't know if it's different than any of our shows, but I definitely felt like I wanted to educate individuals about shame and guilt and really talk about shame being the determining factor of probably why you haven't stepped in your uniqueness, and you have to heal that shame first before you can actually step into your uniqueness. And a lot of us are, in that fear and duty mindset because we have a lot of shame that has been ignited, that somebody else activated in us, right? Because we made them feel bad
Mm.
about us showing up in our fullness or whatever. And then we got in trouble for it. And remember, shame is about our sense of self. So if you're feeling like you're not good enough, if you're feeling like, you want to disappear, you're feeling like something is wrong with you, then maybe you're dealing with shame, and it's going to be very hard for you to step into your uniqueness. Okay. So is there anything you wanted to share, Miss Danielle? Because this actually was Miss Danielle's topic. She definitely wanted to talk about
Oh, you just gonna
unique.
take away your credit of making a whole acronym for it. But no, I think it's very powerful because you know for all the people that have listened to the song, and I'm assuming the entire album because it just
Mhm.
flows and you just can't help it.
Right.
It's very, I feel like it's very empowering, and it's almost like sending a message to people. To me, half the songs sound like affirmations, and it's a message that needs to be heard and received properly, where it's exactly how we broke it down, where it's like everybody is unique. Yes, she's singing a song, of course, she is who she is, but no, everybody is unique and everybody has this potential to reach a status and a point in life where they are truly happy and balanced and can take the lumps and keep moving without it destroying them. Of course, everybody, everything ebbs and flows, so there's always, we're not saying this is going to make you have 100% great days, but
Hmm.
it's just a great place to get to accepting yourself. Really,
Hmm.
to me, that's what it's about, is accepting yourself.
Right.
Because
I,
when you
I love that you said that. I love that you said that you want to get in a place in life where you can accept the good and bad. And that's such a mature answer, because I think some of us want to get in a place where I'm happy all the time,
yeah,
but
not,
life don't, right?
that's
And I
not how
think
things work.
that that's not how it is, right? Life is about, how do I stay anchored,
How do I
no
get the little brick
matter.
house that can't blow down?
Yes. How do I stay anchored no matter what? In the way that you stay anchored no matter what, and no matter in the difficulty in your relationships, no matter difficulties in your friendships, no matter difficulties in your career, and the greatness in your friendships and the greatness in your relationships and the greatness that there is a humbleness that you have at that point, right? That you stay
Mhm.
humbled during those times. It's truly knowing you, right? Knowing
Yes,
your values and understanding you're different, understanding your difference. And when you understand your difference, then it's easier for you to find your place in the world,
yes.
right? And where you fit in. And I think a lot of us are living in dis-ease right now, because we are trying to be somebody else. And I learned this from my business partner prior. And he was like, be you because everybody else is taken.
I like that.
Yeah. And so I want to end the show with that one. I just encourage everybody to be yourself because everybody else is taken. Again, I think we wrapped up our 30-day affirmation. I just got my last affirmation yesterday. Um, but it's open. So we always take it's the evergreen thing. So, click the link, do your 30-day affirmation challenge. I'm telling you, those affirmations come through and they hit a little different depending on,
The day
the
and
day,
the mood.
the mood you in. And I think that's again the thing about life, right? Gaining a love of self, learning how to interact with others, having a level of focus, and where we put our energy is really learning how to have that even keel and anchoring ourselves in a space that you can't be moved, you know, and starting to attract and draw to you the life that you desire and deserve. So, again, unique, that's what you are,
And I like the word anchor because I want to, like, if you think about an anchor for a boat, the boat may move a little bit, but it's not going to completely
Drift
float
off.
away.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think of or like a balloon, it can move a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's not going to blow away. And I wanted to stop on that word. That's what being unique, it anchors you. You're
Yeah.
still going to sway,
Yeah.
but you're not going to float away. A
Yeah.
little less likely to float away.
I like that. Yes, absolutely. And so again, understanding the gifts of being unique, writing a note to yourself, a compassionate note, just basically just being compassionate with yourself, be your best friend. List the people who hurt you. That's the big one. I want y'all to do that like when y'all get off the show. Like who hurt me? And give them back their energy.
What if
And
you
if
ain't got
you
their names?
right,
Look,
the
I
one
wanted to say it
boy
earlier.
who were right, the one boy in the second grade who
That
pushed
girl
me
on the bus.
down, right. I'm gonna give him back his energy. I remember it was these sisters that used to uh kick me all the way home. Like yes, like, and I'm like, when I don't know why they kicked me all the way home, but they did. Like would kick me, it would push me. I got bullied all the time when I was
Really?
little. Oh yeah. But I gave them their energy back. Like, yeah. So, and if you write that list and you figure like you can't you can't let it go, that's a sign that you need help. You need to go get you a therapist or something to really talk through that pain, right? Because we definitely want to bump you out of shame, and when we can bump you out of shame, then we can start helping you design a life that you desire and deserve. But if you still in shame, you feeling like you ain't enough, and this conversation is going to go over your head. So to bump you out of shame, write that list. Who hurt you? Become independent, right? Which is really just taking responsibility for your life. To be unique, you
Yep.
definitely got to have a sense of responsibility of yourself and your actions and your behaviors. Q was what?
Quality.
Quality.
Be quality. Be the
Yeah,
best version of yourself.
the best version of yourself, and know that it's like continuous improvement. So you always, undergoing a
Constant work.
process of evolving and
Reading,
growing. So yeah,
learning,
yeah. So your
excelling.
uniqueness is not just like destined for this moment. It's bound to change or evolve or become different, and giving yourself permission to do that. You is what?
Oh, what? I thought we already did you. Oh, the
Unlock your
Q.
potential.
Look.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. What?
So being able to unlock your potential, just
Yes.
basically your energy, right? Untapping that energy, and a lot of us are not. A lot of us feel dragged down. A lot of us feel misaligned. A lot of us feel a level of apathy because we're not even using our own energy. Like we haven't even untapped that thing inside of us that generates us, that motivates us, that inspires us, right? We're drawing
Mhm.
off of other people's comments and other people's thoughts of us. But boy, when you unlock that thing inside of you, I tell you, you have a different thing you get up to. It. Love is a way we unlock our potential, though. I can say that when you fall in love, it's like you jump off the bed, like, boop, hey, that's a and if you feel that way when you fall in love, just start falling in love with yourself. And
Look, 'cause I was about to say, I'm sure you know the science behind that.
yeah,
It's like a 6 to 9 month thing, and then after
yeah.
that 6 to 9 months,
Cannot,
then you got to put work in.
oh yeah,
You
you
know,
absolutely gotta put the work in.
but
But
to
but
feel
that
that
feeling is the
feeling is
same
what
when
you should
you
feel
unlock
for
your
yourself.
potential.
Yes.
Yes, when you start to love yourself, you start to kind of get that same aroma, that same type of feeling. And then Experiences. Just looking at your
Experiences.
experiences. Create a list of your experiences and what makes you different. Choose one of those, and then we're going to give you a free assessment. So give us a call and check in with us.
Yes.
So I think that's it for
I think
today.
that's it.
Link into our tap into our 30-day challenge. I'm Sheila.
I'm Danielle.
Yeah. And we
Looks like
got Jay. Jay is our engineer, so he gotta
yeah,
click us off.
I think he's occupado right now, so we on our own.
Right. And, oh yeah, and I do want to say thanks to everybody who's sharing the podcast, who's watching the podcast, and I would just ask that you share and like. This may not be for you, but it may definitely help somebody else. So I would just ask that you continue to share, like, and comment.
Please.
If you got a question, yes, absolutely. Okay. And I just got my
Gotta
little
check the
bun.
hair. She got her bun looking right, got
My
the
bun.
pearls all
Mm-hmm.
fancy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Actually, I got these dress. People don't know. I got some sister locks.
Look, that's what I was saying. You
And they
finally
so
reveal. Is this
small.
the big reveal? Is this
Yeah, I
the big
know. I know. I'm
job?
used to wearing like the little micros, right? Like this. But these are my little dreads, and we got them locked up the other day.
All
So,
right.
okay.
So we are good to go. I think it's on us to shut it down. So
Okay.
another
See
good
you guys
show.
later.
See everybody later.
Bye.